What's up, losers? Today I'm back with some more r/fatlogic mischief. Reading a couple of interesting posts, trying to make sense of them, and sharing my efforts with all of you. This is episode 102 in the fatlogic series. And things are about to get silly. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Besides, flat bellies are unhealthy. Our organs need space to work properly. And fat gives that space.
Yeah, I don't think that's how that works. I'm pretty sure that your organs still have enough room to function without a big protruding belly. And conversely, having a thick layer of visceral fat wrapping around your organs and clogging up your arteries is actually quite harmful, as it increases your chances of developing a number of serious conditions, including heart disease and diabetes. So that's not ideal. On top of the fact that this post is obviously inaccurate in its analysis of what is and is not unhealthy, I'm rather puzzled by its general description of how organs and fat fit together in the body. Like, when it says that fat gives the organs space, does it think that fat bellies are like big hollow air bubbles? Or something? Because they're not. Fat occupies space. The organs are not floating around in a nice, spacious, fatty snow globe, or something. The fat is wrapped around the organs. It's really a pretty claustrophobic setup. And it's far from the idyllic picture this post is painting of fat giving the organs space to work. So yeah, don't take things too far in going for that flat belly. A little fat is totally healthy, normal, and even necessary. But unless you're severely underweight, don't think that you need to grow out your belly to allow your organs to work. Because in all likelihood, it's going to have the opposite effect.
If you're a doctor, and you want to talk to me about my health, and your first response is to talk to me about a diet, then you don't care about my health. You care about how my body is visually displeasing to you. Hashtag weight stigma. Hashtag 2022 resolutions. Hashtag anti-fat bias. Hashtag medical weight bias. If you cared about my health, we'd be having discussions about healthy behaviors I already have, and healthy behaviors I need to work on, instead of your snap judgment and weight loss prescription, without even knowing anything about me. When I say I shouldn't have to keep going to different doctors just to find one that will treat me, a fat person, like a human, I mean that it's the doctor's responsibility to do no harm. It's literally their job. If you hate fat people, find another job. Hashtag anti-fat bias.
Size. Man, at times like these, my heart just breaks for our medical professionals, having to deal with this kind of exhausting nonsense on a daily basis. They really do have my undying respect and admiration, because I sure wouldn't have the patience to put up with it, haha. You can tell that this poster is not operating in good faith right from the start, when they accuse doctors who recommend dieting to patients of only caring about how the patient's body is visually displeasing to them. Because I'm sorry, but what a load of rubbish. The doctor does not care about whether or not your body is visually pleasing. They care about whether your body is healthy. That's the job. This is not speed dating or some sheet. It's a damn medical appointment. Like, I can guarantee you that any working doctor has seen just about any kind of body you can imagine. It's not like the only people walking through the doors for a checkup are runway models. The reason people become doctors is not to admire the visual appeal of the patients, or to tell them what they could do to become more attractive. It is to help people get the care that they need, regardless of the way they look. For fat patients, providing the best possible care may well involve recommending weight loss. But this is because obesity is unhealthy, not because doctors find obese people unattractive. I mean, I'm sure there are some doctors out there who find fat women extremely sexy. It's not exactly an uncommon preference. But these doctors are still not going to encourage their fat patients to stay fat. Because that is not in the patient's best interest. And it would be supremely unprofessional and unethical to prioritize their own gratification over the needs of the patient. The way this poster tries to twist the professionalism and good intentions of doctors into something perverted, just so that they can avoid facing up to the damage that they're doing to their own body, is honestly just reprehensible. And as far as I'm concerned, they're basically forfeiting their right to be taken seriously in any of their subsequent complaints. And what of these complaints? You ask. Well, apparently the poster is not happy that the doctor isn't talking to them more about the healthy behaviors they already have. What? The healthy behaviors you already have? What do you think this is? Exactly. A celebratory parade. Whatever healthy behaviors you already have are clearly insufficient, because they are being outweighed by all of the unhealthy behaviors you have. You know, those unhealthy behaviors that you refuse to own up to, and blame the doctor for pointing out. The post concludes by complaining about how hard it is to find a doctor who will provide the kind of treatment that they are looking for. But all I can say to that is, no wonder it's hard. What you're asking for is ridiculous. Doctors do not dedicate all of that time and money to training so that they can kiss the asses of delusional fat patients. Tell them how special they are for doing less than the bare minimum, and overlook the blindingly obvious damage that they are doing to their own bodies. They do it so that they can help people who are genuinely open to receiving their help. So if that isn't you, then maybe what you need isn't a doctor. It's a wig, face paint, and a squishy red nose. Just a thought.
I remember my interventionist teacher trying to help teach connotation, the feeling assigned to a word, rather than its dictionary definition, to my students, and used the example, think of the words, skinny, and slender. Which one sounds better? Which one has the nice connotation? Like you would give it as a compliment. And I just remember thinking, both, because thin privilege makes being skinny seen as beautiful and good, no matter what you call it. Like thin spo blogs always talk about wanting to be skinny. Society sees skinniness as a good thing, to the point that almost any word for skinny has a positive connotation. Skinny, or slender, both, are viewed positively. Hashtag worthy thoughts. Hashtag fatphobia. Hashtag thin privilege. Hashtag connotation.
Okay, so this one is actually somewhat interesting. Not gonna lie, it genuinely got me thinking. And that's more than can be said for most stuff that graces the front page of r/fatlogic, haha. I think the disconnect here mainly arises from the natural evolution of language. Because I feel like traditionally, the word skinny did have a pretty undesirable connotation. It brings to mind someone who looks underfed, and perhaps a little out of sorts. Whereas slender sounds, I don't know, elegant, dainty, ethereal, even. Over time, I suppose the word skinny just became more neutral. Probably because thin bodies were more idealized than they had been previously, and because it came to be used as a generic substitute for thin. Despite initially being reserved only for those who were strikingly, or perhaps worryingly, skinny. In more recent times, skinny seems to have taken on a new level of desirability through the popularity of aesthetic trends like heroin chic, which promote extremely, even unhealthily, thin bodies, and through the whole skinny legend meme, I suppose. So I guess we are at a point now where skinny sometimes has a positive connotation, but I would argue that it can also have a negative connotation, depending on the way it's used. Like, if someone chucks out the classic, "Real men like curves, only dogs go for bones" line, and calls you skinny in that context, it's obviously not a compliment. So I guess you have to evaluate what someone is trying to express by using the word skinny. on a case-by-case basis. Oh yeah, and through it all, slender still has pretty much the same connotation as always. Probably because it's so much less frequently used than skinny. But make of that what you will. I've probably bored you all with this drawn-out rumination on the connotations of the word skinny. So sorry about that, but what can I say? I thought it was interesting. I guess I just like words. Let me know what you think about the connotations of the word skinny. Because I will be curious to see if people agree with me in my analysis. But anyway, moving on.
High weight is not an indicator of poor health. Case in point, my vitals have gotten better as my weight increased from 280 pounds to 320 pounds. In fact, my weight/BMI graphs are significantly negatively correlated with my blood pressure, fasting glucose, pulse, and respiration frequency, all of which, mind you, are, and have always been, in the normal range. My A1C is normal too. Now I'm not saying that this correlation is causative per se. The change in my weight and vitals could be caused by a common factor, such as decreased stress from graduating college. But it is clear that, at least for me, my weight gain is not indicative of a decrease in health. In fact, it appears to be the other way around. #weight, #fat, #health, #fatphobia, #BMI.
Okay, so, even if I take this post at face value in what it's claiming, I really don't think that it's proven much of anything. Like, as the post itself admits, there is no reason to assign causality to the negative correlation that has been observed between the poster's BMI and the vital readings, outside of wishful thinking, and there is much reason to question how much longer they are likely to enjoy their clean bill of health if they adopt such a blasé attitude towards weight gain. Regardless of how someone's vitals may be tracking in the short or medium term, morbid obesity is extremely likely to cause serious health issues in the long term. And it is generally unwise to assume oneself to be the lucky exception to overwhelming statistical probabilities. 320 pounds is very, very heavy, yet the tone of this post seems to suggest that the poster is unconcerned about the possibility of this number going up further. Intentional weight loss seems to be the last thing on their mind. All I can say is, I hope they're ready to deal with the consequences, because their confidence seems alarmingly misplaced to me. As for the broader point the post seems to be making, all I'll say is, extrapolating from this one person's experience, to make generalized comments about the relationship between weight and health is laughably unconvincing, even if it turns out that this person is just a lucky unicorn who puts on weight like there's no tomorrow, and never has to deal with any health downsides, which I highly doubt. That would still not tell us anything meaningful on a general level. Because, and I really shouldn't have to explain this, one is not an adequate sample size. So I guess my overall message is, if you want to wager your life and health on an unlikely hope that you can get fatter and fatter without ever suffering any health consequences because of this weight gain, then that's your right. But can we not put out posts like this, which seem to encourage others to do the same? It's not just delusional, it's irresponsible, and potentially dangerous. So please, just stop.
My friend just showed me an artist's designs of the children of Disney characters. And the children of Ursula and Maui were both as skinny as possible. Frick off with that. Stop acting like thin is the norm. Stop erasing fat people. #worthy thoughts. #fatphobia. #Disney.
Wow, we're really tackling the big injustices of the world now, aren't we? If this horrible fat phobe thought they were going to get away with checks notes, drawing imaginary Disney characters, how are they liked? Well, they've got another thing coming. Let me tell you that. Ha ha, but seriously though, how do these fat activists manage to get so riled up over such trivial shit? It's honestly just bizarre, and it's sure not doing their ongoing efforts to be taken at all seriously any good, because let's be real, serious people don't post stuff like this. It very much screams unserious. And even if we move beyond the sheer embarrassment factor of getting so upset about something like this in the first place, the complaints don't even make any sense. Like, for one thing, if the characters are original artist designs of non-canon characters, they're not erasing fat people, they're not erasing anything, they're offering up their own artistic contribution. It's really another level of entitlement to feel that other people can only use their creativity in ways that you approve of, as if you are the master of the known and unknown universe, and your perceptions of how things ought to be automatically supersede everyone else's. But then again, these are fat activists, so maybe I should have seen this kind of entitlement coming, haha. On top of all that, though, the assumption that Ursula and Maui would definitely have fat children, just because they themselves are fat, makes no sense, because being fat is not genetic. Fat parents do not always have fat children, and when they do have fat children, it's because of what and how much they're feeding them, not because they passed down the fat gene, or whatever. So as far as I'm concerned, imagining Ursula and Maui's children as thin is totally fair game, and this post doesn't have a leg to stand on. As a final note, how funny is it that fat activists constantly complain about Ursula being fat because she's a villain, but now all of a sudden they want to claim her in the name of representation? Give me a break. I know Ursula is evil and all that, but it's hard not to feel a little sorry for her, seeing the way people will trash her when they feel like it, but then act all nice when it's convenient for them. It really is anything to justify more whining, isn't it? Size. Typical.
Top 5 diet tips. 1. Don't. 2. Don't. 3. Don't. 4. Don't. 5. Don't.
Okay, so I don't have much to say about this one, because there isn't much, or any, substance to it, but I guess if there is one thing about the post that warrants comment, it is this very lack of substance. Like, what exactly is the purpose of this post supposed to be? It's not funny, it's not clever, and it doesn't even attempt to be persuasive. It just instructs you not to diet. Yet evidently someone thought that there was an audience for this kind of content. Otherwise they wouldn't have made it. And yeah, that's just weird to me. I don't know what else to say. I can't imagine what would be going on in someone's mind for them to respond to such simplistic messaging. But I don't doubt that there are plenty of fat activists out there who read this post, smiling and nodding along, firmly believing that it's nailing it. So I guess I'm just not the target audience. Just for fun, I thought I would put together my own response that takes the same top 5 diet tips format, but tweaks the tips slightly, so that they are more in line with my own opinions on the matter. Here they are. 1. Do. 2. Do. 3. Do. 4. Do. 5. Do. That's the best I've got. If you're not convinced now, I don't know what else to tell you, haha. Well, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed the posts, and that my responses enhanced your enjoyment of them in some way. What do you think? Are flat bellies unhealthy because they don't give your organs enough room to work properly? Are doctors who recommend dieting really just concerned with how visually pleasing their patients are? Does skinny have positive or negative connotations? Does getting fatter actually make your health better? Should Ursula and Maui's children be fat or thin? Is the best diet tip that actually you shouldn't diet? Let me know in the comments. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Or I'll make you draw commissions of fat Disney characters for verbally abusive fat activists. And you won't receive your payment until you draw a version of the character that is fat enough to satisfy the customer. Just kidding, haha. Anyway, catch you later.